In March 2023, Brevard School Board member Jennifer Jenkins was forced to sue fellow Brevard School Board member Matt Sisson to acquire access to text and phone call records between Matt Sisson and Brevard County Commissioner John Tobia. The text and phone call records were requested in a public record request by Ms. Jenkins. Initially, Mr. Sisson denied that the text records even existed, but after Mr. Tobia produced the records and Ms. Jenkins sued, Mr. Sisson produced the text messages and phone records. However, it was obvious that the text records produced by Mr. Tobia and Mr. Sisson were not the complete records, as requested in the public records request, and required by law to be produced. To confirm this, Ms. Jenkins' lawyer deposed the Director of Community Affairs for Mr. Tobia. This person was the official records custodian and responsible for all public records requests in Mr. Tobia's office. The deposition has some telling information about an apparent cover-up attempted by Matt Sisson and John Tobia over those text messages. At the May 14, 2024 Brevard School Board meeting, two public commenters confronted Mr. Sisson with the allegations in the deposition. The first public commenter read from the deposition how Mr. Sisson and Mr. Tobia talked about Ms. Jenkins having big boobs and how she wore tight shirts on purpose to get attention. Mr. Sisson and Mr. Tobia also referred to Ms. Jenkins as a whore during their conversations, according to the sworn witness in the deposition. The second public commenter brought to light how Mr. Sisson and Mr. Tobia conspired to illegally delete texts and remove damaging information from the public records, according to the witness in the deposition. Let's listen.
The first time I heard someone talk about Matt Sisson, I was attending a luncheon and the topic of the school board came up. This was in 2019, before the pandemic lockdowns and the rise of extremism in our school system. This woman was a former colleague of Matt's, and she didn't have many nice things to say, specifically about, well, your track record with your female colleagues. We all know your history, and I'm not here to judge you for your poor life choices and dishonesty, except now you've brought the same misogynistic energy into the school board. Most people don't know this. Well, actually, I think most people do know this, but Matt Sisson loves to harass women when they challenge his fragile ego. In the past year, and on more than one occasion, Matt Sisson has harassed me over statements I've made. Now, Matt doesn't do that with an audience. He waited until I was the only non-BPS person at a work session, or alone in the hallways of this building, or in this room at the last meeting. Now, he also isn't bold about it. He snaps at me and then scampers off like a small child. So let me address this for the whole county to hear, Matt Sisson. I don't work for you. You probably already know where this is going, so try not to scamper off like you normally do when I challenge you. The county commissioner from District 3 and Matt Sisson conspired together to remove Jennifer Jenkins from her district and from this board. This isn't just a theory. It's now backed up by a deposition and sworn witness statements. But first, Matt Sisson said these text messages didn't exist. He denied their existence for so long it turned into a lawsuit that we, the taxpayers, are footing the bill for. And what do you know it? The text messages had always existed, Matthew John Sisson. Why were you hiding them? Oh, right. I'm going to read a portion of the deposition between a former aide who worked in the county commissioner's office and handled public records requests. And everyone will hear why you wanted these text messages not to have existed. Question. Did you actually see the entire conversation on the phone? Answer. Yes. Question. What were the kinds of things that Matt Sisson wanted to omit? Answer. Matt Sisson had sent text messages saying derogatory things about Ms. Jenkins that they felt were not related to the public records request and therefore were not to be included in the response. Question. What kind of derogatory things? Answer. They said that she dressed provocatively, that she was a whore. Question. So I want you to use actual words that you recall them saying. They didn't say provocatively, did they? Answer. No. They just said that, she had big boobs and wore tight shirts on purpose to get attention and that she was a whore. Question. Who was saying those by text message? Answer. Mr. and Mr. Sisson. They both were. Matt Sisson is going to attempt to brush this off as locker room talk. I mean, you guys know he was a coach, right? But this is 2024 and women will not be gaslit into believing that this is acceptable behavior by a sitting school board member. Matt Sisson is not a role model or a pillar of the community. He's the reason why women are choosing to run into a bear in the woods. Matt Sisson, you should resign.
Gregory Roth and Julia Anton.
In case there was any misunderstanding of Ms. Curvin's speech, I too have in my hand the deposition she read from. For clarification, is the deposition of the administrative aide of District 3 Brevard County Commissioner John Tobias. The administrative aide is the records custodian
People's names, Mr. Ross.
for the county commissioner and is responsible for all public records and public record requests for the commissioner. Let's read from the deposition what the records custodian had to say about those magic disappearing and reappearing texts between you and county commissioner. Question. You said you saw the actual messages that were on the phone. Do these screenshots appear to fully and accurately depict what you saw on John Tobias' phone? Answer. No. I mean, it's pretty obvious there's stuff missing in here.
Individuals' names, Mr. Ross.
I'm sorry?
Don't use individuals' names, please. That's the second warning. Thank you.
Answer. No, I mean, it's pretty obvious there's stuff missing in here. I mean, the little screenshot here, that's like something you cropped from something else. Same thing with the page above it. Those cropped messages are obviously not the full message chain, and I don't know why anyone would send something like that. Question. Okay, and so this is omitting some communications that you answer. It's obvious. It's very obviously omitting communications at this point. Question. It's obvious in the way that it was cropped, but is it also obvious because to you, you actually saw the messenger on the commissioner's phone? Answer. Yeah, and you can tell right there on the 20th, there's stuff in that Mr. Susan had sent, and that's not in the message. Question. Were those communications pertaining to, and you felt responsive to the public records request? Answer. I told him the whole entire message chain between him and Susan was to be included, and the only way to be fully responsive was to take screenshots of the entire message chain and send those. But that's not what the commissioner wanted, and that's why he had another employee in the office fulfill the request. They text on a daily basis back and forth. You're missing a lot of information here if this is all you have. So I can tell you that's a substantial amount missing. Question. You said you saw the actual messages that are on the phone. Do these screenshots appear to fully and accurately? Oh, I'm sorry. Question. You mentioned when this records request came in that there was communication between the commissioner and Matt Susan. Is that correct? Yes. They were on the phone, talking on speakerphone. He said, I got the records request from Ms. Jenkins, and I'm going to fulfill it today to make it appear as though we have nothing to hide because I don't want this to be a problem. And he said, I'm going to send over what I sent so that we can be in alignment here. So let's be clear. Matt, you lied about your communications with the county commissioner on the redistricting and did so from the school board dais. Then you lied about the existence of those communication records in a court document. Matt, you then doctored your test to remove your bigoted and misogynic statements. You and the county commissioner then conspired to get aligned on what doctored text you were sending over. To the rest of the board, you have to wonder what he's saying about you behind your back, right?
Brevard School Board member Matt Sisson has been exposed lying from the dais on numerous occasions, has exhibited misogynistic behaviors, and has conspired to illegally hide public records. Brevard Public School students, teachers, parents, administrators, and staff deserve better.